We're back.
We are
Did,
indeed. We are indeed.
did we just get a sitting offensive coordinator for a very, very, very good offense to come take a job here? A demotion as a quarterbacks coach slash passing game coordinator? Are my eyes deceiving me? Are my ears playing tricks on me? Or is that what just happened about 2 hours ago?
You are correct.
I am.
You are
Oh,
not
You are correct.
dreaming.
Yes, that did happen.
oh, okay. Is Mario pulling it out, is putting it on the table, and telling everybody to come get a piece of it, or what? Whatever.
I don't know how
Anyways,
we carry that analogy forward,
I
but
had to. I had to. I had to. I had to
I
do
would say yes. But then it
it.
keeps like I would have said that when we got Steele, but then Gaddis showed up. Now Ponce is like taking a demotion to come. I mean, how many does he have in his pants? I mean, I
Oh
can't.
man.
That analogy fell apart
He may
before me.
have multiples. Yeah, you never know. Welcome to the Six Rings K Show. As we like to start things off there, we threw everybody a little curveball, man. DJ Vish and our very special guest, Mr. John from Cafecito and Canes and the Miami Flo show and all that good stuff. What's going on, fellas? How you guys doing?
Good, good.
Enjoying
Yeah, and
day after day of good news. But I thought Miami was a dumpster fire. No,
This is yeah, we're a mess. We're a mess.
we're a mess. Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, it's pretty it's obvious what we're going to talk about today, right? We had kind of actually me and Vish and Danny, we kind of spoke about this yesterday and this morning. Hey, look, this is what we're going to talk about, guys. We're going to talk about Jahmile Addae, right, the new DB's coach who we poached from Mr. Kirby Smart over at Georgia, reigning national champs. And we're going to talk about Josh Gattis, right, the new offensive coordinator from Michigan. And then we'll talk about some other guys that are some really important hires. And then all of a sudden, Frank Ponce decides to say, hold on a second, Jazz. Here, let me add a little bit more for you to speak about tonight. So pretty excited about it. We'll definitely start off with, I guess the biggest news, right, which was the hiring of offensive coordinator Josh Gattis, who was for 3 years the offensive coordinator at Michigan for Jim Harbaugh down there, or up there, as we should probably say, and did a hell of a job. Obviously, his past is absolutely incredible as well. Working under Nick Saban as a co-offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, over at Alabama. He also had a stint in Penn State. So the list is extensive. It's a very impressive resume for Josh Gattis, coaching guys like Jahan Dotson and Chris Godwin over and KJ Hamler over at Penn State. Then coaching guys and recruiting guys like Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith and Henry Ruggs and who am I missing? Jerry Judy. And then, of course,
John Mechie.
developing and recruiting John Mechie as well and some of the other guys that are there now. Okay, not only that, but I mean, the job that he did over at Michigan as well with that offense, very power, I guess you can call it power spread or power RPO spread offense that he ran this past year was probably some of his best work. So really excited about Josh Gattis. I want to get everybody's opinion on that. I definitely want to start off with our guest today. We'll start off with John on Josh Gattis. How excited are you, and what do you think he brings to the table that's so what are some of his strong suits, I guess is the best way to say it.
Well, you said it already. Power, toughness, being able to run the ball, which is something we've been missing for, 15 years now. I mean, we had it for a brief stint when Duke was here, but I mean, people kind of hating on it's going to be super conservative. It's good. Power spread doesn't mean we're going to throw the ball 3 times a game. It doesn't mean we're going to run it on 3rd and 11. It means we're going to move the chains consistently and wear down your defense and then hit you over the top, which, by the way, if you go back and watch early 2000s Miami football, that's exactly what it was. But this is a more creative, modern day version of that. So, yes, very excited.
Yeah. DJ, what do you think on Josh Gattis?
When you look at what the Michigan team did last year, I don't think many people thought that they would end up being what they were. Cade McNamara had a solid year, but in addition to the passing game, the Wolverines also had a very, very good run game. So I think Gattis will be able to bring a dynamic type of offense to Miami. They have the playmakers to make that happen. And, Gattis has a proven track record, like you guys just mentioned at the top of the show. So I think this is a very solid hire. I mean, he was the Broyles Award winner last year, I believe. So you can't get much better than that.
Yeah, true. And here's the thing, right, Vish? Not only Kate, he just mentioned that DJ just mentioned Kate McNamara threw for 3,000 yards. He's not even, it's not a knock on him. He's not a great quarterback, right? A great
Agreed.
college quarterback,
Agreed.
but they had one of the best running attacks, if not the best running game in all of college football with that three-headed monster with Blake Corum, Hassan Haskins, and Donovan Edwards, I believe was the other kid. And of course, I think the biggest thing that we have to take from it is that offensive line, right? So tell me a little bit about how you feel about Josh Gattis.
Yeah, no, I'm ecstatic. This was not even. I mean, I guess we all have to adjust our expectations now to literally we can go get anyone. This was not even like within my thought process that we could just go get as DJ said, the current Broyles Award recipient who was the offensive coordinator of a team in the playoffs and say, hey, take the same job at Miami. We're not upgrading it, same position, and he comes and takes it. Like, to me, that it's a ridiculously strong hire, but I guess this is, like you mentioned, take the defensive backs coach from the national champion into the same position here. We poached 2 coaches for lateral moves out of playoff teams. Like, this is the big time. Like, and John did a good job kind of breaking down some of his strengths. I think one of the things you gotta, like, when you hear offensive, I think we as fans get obsessed with, like, what the label of the offense is. When you listen to coaches, the good ones they talk about we need to be multiple. We need to run and throw. If the run's there, we need to be able to take it and eat off of it. If they're playing up and we got to throw, we got to be able to do that as well. And if you look at the teams that are consistently, like, what is Alabama's offensive style? I don't know. They just beat the crap out of you, right? I mean, it's not. They're not saying we're a spread or we're a pro style. They're just good. They can do anything. Like, if they need to throw it 50 times, they'll throw it 50 times. If they run it 50 times, they'll do that. That's what good teams do. That's what actually makes you immune to having terrible seasons. Because if you can only do one thing well, and we saw this with Lashley, and he did a great job. That's why he's a head coach now. But, if that tempo stopped working and we couldn't get the ball out, we couldn't spread around, we would go through these ruts. Whereas in Alabama, if they're like not throwing well, okay, we'll just run it. We'll run over your ass then. And you need that to navigate a tough schedule, and we do play one. You've got to be able to do multiple things, and he'll do that. So I'm not worried at all about like this whole I know side debate on like what kind of style does Miami need to play. Miami needs to win, and this guy's a winning coach. And you know how you know his offense is good enough to make the playoffs? Because it did last year. So what do we want to do? If we want to get to that level, we took a coach that took his offense to that level. So yep. I think this is as much of a home run as you can get. Like, this is unfathomable, frankly, to pull someone that offensive coordinated his team to the playoffs last year and say, come take the same position. And he took it.
I think we had an idea that this was going to be a strong staff, but I don't think we realized how strong.
No, we thought Ponce might be the offensive coordinator, and we got him to downgrade. Like, the guys that we're getting are moving for huge programs to the same position, and then if we're going to a smaller program, they're downgrading their position to come in. I mean, this is insane. Like, I don't know. I'm like giddy. I don't know what to do here.
It's unbelievable, man. And you know what? I want to bring up a couple things on Josh Gattis. Also, kind of to allude to your point, Vish, and a little bit of what John said. Also, is this whole idea that he runs just a power offense, right? It's power. He's got that great running game. He's got these massive offensive alignment. That's what he had at Michigan. So that's what he did at Michigan. And like you said, Vish, when he was at Alabama, when he coached, he was a co-OC with Loxley. They ran a little bit more. They threw the ball when they had to, and they threw it 50 times for 600 yards, or they gave it to whoever their running back, whoever their Heisman Trophy running back was, and run over people that way. So, like, the misconception that all he does is just want to run down people's throat. No, he utilizes the tight end really well. If you've noticed, he loves to utilize the tight end. Eric All was a stud over at Michigan. He still had some pretty good wide receivers at Michigan. The only one I can think of his name because it's the only one I know right off the top of my head is Sanders still. But he had some pretty good. He coached Donovan Peoples-Jones to the league. That's another kid that we forget that he coached over at Michigan. So look, he's Nico Collins, I think, is another kid, right? That was there with him. So, and he's in the league as well. So look, everything aside, yeah, you mentioned it, Vish. Our running attack, if Rhett Lashley couldn't get it going with that tempo, there was one type of play and one type of play only. It was a zone inside zone, right? And that's all we could really hang our hat on. This is going to be multiple. This is going to be complex. Their running schemes. And on top of that, add to the that we have six running backs that are 4 and 5-star kids that can come in and start at any any team in the country. So I think that, and of course, I'm not even talking about the wide receivers yet and the tight ends that we have. So look, yeah, Steve-O mentioned it, John, and maybe you can kind of allude to this a little bit. Also, Steve-O mentioned it a few days ago. His concern basically was, his his passing game, right, is not as multiple or not as complex as maybe some other guys. And I think we answered that with bringing in Coach Ponce, of course. But how do you feel about his scheme, how it matches up well with guys like Mirabal, right? Now he's going to develop some monsters as well. So I think it's going to go really well. But what's your take on how you feel schematically it's going to benefit the guys that we have on this team already, on this roster?
I think it fits well because, you said one of the reasons, Coach Mirabal, and just the style of that Mirabal and Cristobal want to run. It goes very well together. I gave this as an example, I think, on Flo's show on Sunday. It's that style, that pound it down your throat style, won against Ohio State, and Oregon used pretty much the same style. So I think right there's a good example of how well they're going to mesh together. But you saw examples in that Ohio State game of him scheming some guys open, whether it be out of the backfield with tight ends running little delays, receivers running little, drag routes and stuff like that. I think, we got to give the guy a chance. We'll see. We have to execute it, but I like what he's bringing to the table, and I think it's going to mesh just fine. We have talented wide receivers coming back, so I'm not worried there. And plus, who we have at quarterback.
And when you also take a look at the type of offensive linemen that Miami wants to recruit, they want big physical linemen who are not afraid to push the defensive linemen back. And I think that combined with the power running style will also fit very well.
Yeah, it's no more having to develop these long, lanky offensive linemen. I think he just wants big, just like cornbread, huge dudes. And I love that.
Yeah, we're going to be physical. That is Mario day one. We're going to be tougher than the opponent. That's what he's going for. That's why Mirabal's followed him around. They're just aligned on that. Gaddis is that type of coach. Kevin Steele is that type of coach. We're going to be tougher than the other team. Even if we lose, we're going to be tougher than them. I think that's the goal here. And I think DJ touched on this. We saw how bad we were in short yardage running last year. It was comically bad. Like Jazz said, we ran that one play. Everyone knew it was coming. We couldn't get a yard. Part of that is, being more physical. Part of it is good run schemes. Are you pulling guards around? Are you tipping it? Do you get the backside cut? All of those things, and we just didn't do any of that well last year. So I think, bringing in a coach that actually, I think we tend to oversimplify running attacks. Running is complex. It's really complex. And having a coach that has a lot of experience developing a power running game with an offensive line coach that is a power offensive line coach, that's a match made in heaven. I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
And Anthony, you wrote real quick, and I'm going to get to some shout outs here for some of the people. Anthony Manzano writes, so I'm guessing Frank Ponce is going to be our quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator. Yes. So he has been, of course, for sure, he's going to be the the quarterbacks coach. And he has been rumored to be the passing game coordinator. I believe those are going to be his titles, which is nice because that's one of his strong suits is Coach Ponce, is his passing attack and how multiple he is and how complex it is. Another one from Anthony is, by any chance do you guys know if Mario's going to hire a linebackers coach so Kevin Steele can coordinate the defense instead of worrying about coaching a position as well. Before we get to that question, real quick shout out to Philly Kane, my boy Fernando Tapia, who was my roommate in college, Columbus boy, John. Columbus, stand up, see pride right there, Fernie Tapia. You might know that family. The Tapias over there. Big shout out to Max. What's going on, Max? Yo, yo, yo. McLovin the Canes, fresh 3542, always in the building. See a couple of guys here. Of course, Anthony always, John Futch. You adapt to your talent. If you could put that one up, you adapt to your talent, the talent you play against, and environment you're in. So why would Gattis throw more in the cold or against teams that can't stop the run? Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing.
That's a good point, and also Jazz, you touched on this. Like he got a lot out of McNamara. That kid's not. I don't want to say not good, but he's certainly not on the level of quarterback he's going to have now. And in fact, I forget the kid's name. They're grooming the kid behind McNamara to take over this year anyway. Like they knew he wasn't really like the long term. This guy is like our guy. It was just what's the most we can get out of him. I think he was a little bit more ready to play initially,
right?
But like he eked out. He would have been insane to try and wing the ball around with that kid. Like that would have been malpractice. So absolutely, you jump to your talent. You also adapt what the defense is doing. One of the things I'm excited about to see us maybe run a little bit more power is the ACC. We do run a lot of spread, and when you and so those defenses are used to playing against those offenses. You come in there and power run on them. It takes them out of their comfort zone. They don't have like 3 and 4 linebackers like they do in the Big Ten that they can rotate in. You can get downhill on some of these teams and really kind of like even we what do we play? We play we'll see what Kevin Steele does, but 2 linebackers and a striker, right? We don't even really have a 4-3. If some team lined up and really power ran at us like North Carolina did, we didn't even know how to defend it.
Right. And it's going to be so different now with how multiple Kevin Steele.
Oh yeah, Kevin Steele would have adjusted in one possession and that thing would have ended.
Oh, yeah.
But Manny had priors with that at Texas. He got fired for basically doing the same thing. So I mean, there was issues there in the past for him. But being able to do something that they're not used to seeing in the ACC also gives you an advantage. Like there's no one that's really getting physical like that.
Right. John, if you want to take that question, man, I don't mind. As far as what do you think Kevin Steele is going to do before we get to the other coaching hires? What do you think he's going to do in regards to hiring a linebackers coach? Is he going to go another DB guy? So we've got 3 spots left, just so that everybody understands. We've got 3 spots left after the Coach Ponce hiring, and we can kind of use them anyway. We can hire another quarterbacks coach if we wanted to. It's just to put it in perspective. We can kind of hire whoever it is. What do you think? What route do you think we're going to go in there, John?
Well, I think he's gonna get some help with the linebackers, I think. So I think he will hire a linebackers coach. And I personally would love to see him go out and get like a Campanile from like the Dolphins or something. Cause that's a guy that kind of like what he's doing with Ponce on the offensive side. Maybe he takes over as OC. A Campanile on the other side in a couple of years could take over as DC. So I don't know. I think that would be a smart move to do that because I don't think either coordinator. I mean, if coordinators do a good job, they're not going to stick around that long. I mean, Cristobal said it himself; they stick around for like a year and a half on average. So, I think I would love to see him use one of those 3 spots for a linebackers coach like Campanile, somebody of that ilk.
Yeah, I think that he could definitely go that way. Another guy and another name that we keep hearing is T-Will, right? Travis Williams coming back over here to coach with Kevin Steele and possibly being the DC in waiting. A lot of people say, well, his defense wasn't great at UCF. Look, listen, I mean, I still don't think that that's a good measuring point per se in regards to what T-Will can do. But he could definitely coach the hell out of linebackers, right? So he teamed up with Kevin Steele. He coaches under him for a year or 2, and I think that perspective kind of changes altogether. Anthony wrote another one. Can big corn vet offensive linemen actually handle the humidity down here if we get guys like? Yes, I don't think. Look, listen. You come down here, you practice, and you're down here all the time. Yeah, you adapt, man. That's
Look at it. So in our 2001 team, which is the best team in college football history. Also probably had the best offensive line in college football history and like didn't give up sacks at all. Most of those kids were not from Florida. everyone,
point.
obviously Joaquin Gonzalez was, but Romberg's like Canadian.
Yep.
like no, you're like you said, you adapt.
Haji Razuli is another
Yeah,
Canadian guy,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Like you adapt to you adapt to the environment down here. The reason where, and I can tell you this because I don't live in Miami anymore. When you get there, it hits you like a punch in the face. I can't imagine playing a 3-hour football game like right after I got off the plane. There, you acclimate though.
Yeah,
It's not.
absolutely.
It's not like you're born with it or you either have it or you don't. It's
Plus,
environmental.
Plus,
So
you got
when
to think. You got to think of the strength and conditioning programs that these guys are going to be in now with a guy like Feld and Eaton and Irving. What's his name? Irving Young and all these guys that are now here. Which we didn't even mention that he poached the assistant strength and conditioning coordinator from Georgia as well. He said, Addae, why don't you come over and why don't you come over as well? I forgot his name now. The kid over from Georgia. So I mean, you adapt, man. And these guys have this program down pat. They're going through that fourth quarter program right now. And just based off of some of the stuff we hear, they say it's tough as hell, but that they love it. They're excited about it, but they're exhausted. And I love that. I love that. And I think they're getting them ready real quick.
yeah, you get exhausted now, so you're not exhausted in September, October, November, right?
Exactly. We got to put up this. We got to put up our good friend.
Yeah, this is definitely
Our
friend of the
good friend,
program.
friend of the program, Mr. Gary Kaplan. We missed you a couple weeks ago, but let's get down to brass tacks. Where does Gattis stand on spicy nuggets? And he's talking about the Chick-fil-A. If Chick-fil-A should get spicy nuggets. If anybody follows Gary on Twitter, make sure you check him out.
You should definitely follow Gary. He's a good follow. But yeah, he has like, I don't even know. It might be a scheduled tweet. You don't have to. But there is definitely an inundation of tweeting at Chick-fil-A that they need to have spicy nuggets. So
We need to get Gary on the show to plead his case about the spicy nuggets.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to some other hires now, but I want to mention one really quick that I actually heard. Big shout out again to my boy Max at the Maxed Out show that I really wasn't even paying attention to, right? Like it kind of flew under the radar, which might be one of the biggest, most important hires is the hiring of Andrew Rogers, who is a player development guy and handles specifically recruiting through the transfer portal. Okay, he kind of targets specific guys in the transfer portal and then reports back. Guess who he did it for the last couple of years? That's correct. So I mean, we just poached the guy that just had 14, just helped get 14 transfers to come down here to go down to Michigan State, and you all see what they did down there in Michigan State. So really excited about getting Andrew Rogers here. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there real quick.
And just on that point, this is something I hadn't really considered until. So full disclosure, we'll let people behind the curtain. Jazz is like, we're going to talk about, and he said, Gattis, and they said Rogers. I'm like, who that? Did I miss something? Who was Rogers? So, I Googled, because I was embarrassed to admit I didn't know who Rogers was, so I Googled Rogers, Miami, nothing came up.
But John didn't even know. See, John didn't know.
Yeah, and so he explained to me, and then I realized, you know what? The portal's so big now, just like you scout high schools, you need someone on staff scouting other teams and looking at these kids as they play. Because you can't just, after they hit the portal, it's probably too late to get on there. And you can kind of look for, frankly, good players on bad teams. But someone's got to watch all that film while you're, preparing for your week in, week out opponents and stuff. So having a dedicated person that's really good at kind of identifying hidden talent on teams that aren't maybe either it's not working out there, the team isn't good or whatever. Having a dedicated person, that is a big deal. And something I hadn't really considered, but that's going to be huge in terms of targeting the right kids in the portal to come fit in here.
And I bet you're going to see that a lot more as the transfer portal gets to be a huge part of college football. I bet you're going to see a lot more specialized recruiting positions, and it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds because now more than ever, you see recruiting positions, you see recruiting analysts, you see all these specialized, names and positions and things like that. And I think it's only really going to increase because the portal is huge, and I think more and more teams are realizing that, hey, you know what, we can get a ready-made player for this upcoming season, and we can also get 10 of them. So I think the more the portal grows and the more recruiting grows, you're going to see a lot more of these specialized positions behind the scenes.
Yeah, and as Max mentioned, yes, Rumpf did it for us now. For I guess the past 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is that he's been here, That's great, but now you're adding a guy like Rogers to that mix, probably a few other guys that are going to be in player development. And like you mentioned, DJ, and actually, John just mentioned this. John Futch, another watcher here. Yeah, it's going to be its own staff, basically. In essence, it's just going to be its own staff. So, pretty excited about that. Hire Frank Beamer as a special teams coach.
I mean, at this point, anything's possible. Does he want to? Does he want a ring? Because he didn't win. He didn't win a ring there. So you know, get on these coattails.
So fresh. You mentioned that are the Georgia DBs leaving? Why would they leave? Oh, because we just poached DB coach Jahmile Addae from the defending national champ Georgia Bulldogs recently. Another huge get. I know we were all nervous about the whole DVD thing as well. Is he going to go to Georgia? Is he going to go somewhere else? Is he going to leave? I think that today they put out a post of how Mario Cristobal put out a post of DVD visiting some schools. I think he stays. I think he's good to go. But I'm excited about this hire, Jahmile Addae. Obviously, a pretty darn good player in his own right. Played at West Virginia, had a couple stops in West Virginia, Georgia. I believe he may have been. Where else was he?
I think Cincinnati.
That's right, Cincinnati.
And I think one other school. He's been to a lot of big programs.
Yeah, he has been. So I want to get your take, John, on the hiring of Jahmile Addae. How you feel this fits into what Miami wants to do with their defensive backfield, and is it going to affect obviously guys maybe trying to follow him down here, or how do you think that mix of him and DVD are gonna kind of fare in the not in the recruiting aspect but also in the coaching aspect?
Oh, it's going to get to a point, hopefully, that you can't touch us on the recruiting part, because you already got DVD on staff who has had a hand in bringing in elite guys, and Jahmile Addae has had a hand in bringing in some big boy recruits, like 5-star after 5-star to Georgia.
Yeah, 3 5-star corners, and he also brought another athlete, Malachi Starks, I think his name was, another 5-star, right? Another 5-star. And Max mentions, yes, I forgot to mention he had the #1 special team in the country at Minnesota when he was there as well. So I could see him kind of pulling double duty as a DB coach and as a special teams coordinator possibly, and then maybe having, and this is maybe where DVD comes in and coaches the cornerbacks a little bit, right? It kind of takes a little bit away from him there.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I'm glad you mentioned special teams, because that's something we've also been lacking, that dangerous return game, as well as kicking it off and our coverage team just flies down the field and buries them behind the 10-yard line. Like, those are big plays, and we haven't had that in a long time. So yeah, no, it's definitely an upgrade, and I'm looking forward to seeing who he might bring over from Georgia, if anybody.
That would be pretty exciting. Adam Folds with the $10 dono, put it up real quick. We'll give him a shout out to Adam. Who do you see as Miami bringing in to fill the staff out? I guess who do you see as the special teams coordinator, and do you see Mario retaining DVD? I think we basically just answered that for you, Adam. So. We appreciate the dono again, man. The $10 dono. Thank you so much for that.
I would say one of the things I do like, and John touched on this as well, is like we're grooming people for their next position. Like Mario said it, and it's true. Good coordinators don't stay coordinators; they become head coaches, right? So this idea that you're going to bring in a coordinator, they're going to be here for like 10 years, it happens rarely. But
you're not going to see that here, though.
But I mean, there's very rare exceptions. Our basketball team just got into like a little fight with Georgia Tech. Anyway, that's why I got distracted. We're winning late in the game. Sorry. I tried to figure out if there was punches. It doesn't look like there were punches, but Coach L's up in there.
Oh boy, get that guy out of there! Jesus.
There's some dude on the bench in Dresden I've never seen before. Anyway, I'm sorry. So.
If there's anything watchers, YouTubers, if there's anything Vish will watch men's curling if Miami Hurricanes had a curling.
I don't know why we keep playing at 7. They know we do the show at 8:30. They can't play on Tuesday or Thursday. I mean, anyway. But no, one of the things we're doing is we're grooming these assistants. Like, Ponce came here because he knows Gattis is awesome. He's going to be a head coach in a few years. I'm going to be the offensive coordinator. That's why he comes here. You see with DVD as well. DVD's fine, like working with Addae, knowing Addae's probably going to get, a bigger job and then move on, or maybe within this program, and then he's going to be the next guy.
Who's to say that I couldn't be defensive coordinator?
Right, exactly.
Right?
Maybe he's the next defensive coordinator here when Steele probably more so, retires versus takes another job unless he gets a head coaching job, and wants to go through that grind again. He's been a head coach. So, I mean, you can see kind of the logical progression, not just of who we've hired, but their replacements and grooming them to build a machine like they have at big programs where the assistants leave all the time, but it doesn't matter. The head coach is stable. He's setting the tone for the program, and he's always preparing for that next person to come in and replace that. And we're setting the tables up nicely for that.
And I think you're seeing that. I think you're seeing Cristobal be prepared for all these things that have gone down, right?
Just look at the 2015 staff at Alabama. I mean, all of those assistant coaches are head coaches now. I mean, it can happen. It can happen.
It's ridiculous. And by the way, Fernie Tapia did mention, I totally forgot to mention as well. Yeah, I mean, he was the number 2 recruiter in all of college football last year, Jahmile Addae over at Georgia. Okay, so that tells you a lot as well. So now, not only did we get the Broyles Award winner, okay, but we also got another Broyles Award guy in Kevin Steele, right? Last week. Now we got Jahmile Addae, who is the second best, based off of certain rankings, the second best recruiter in the whole country. So, I mean, look at the guys that he's bringing in. Chugging Beer with the $5 dono. Great show, guys. Cafecito in the house. Smash the like button, you family. Keep up the great work, Canes for Life. I totally forgot to mention that as well. Make sure you subscribe on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. The more likes, the better. The more content we can bring you as well. So thanks for the $5 dono. Chug my beer, one of the greats there. McLovin with the question here. Y'all think Strong is still in play, and why not? Or why not, I guess, right? Still in play, why not, right? I get you. Why not, right? Well, I don't know who wants to take this one.
I'd say anything's in play. I mean, we've seen that, right? I think it's more I don't know what his priorities are at this point, to be honest. Like, what does he want? Does he want to live in Miami? I think he's been a head coach at 3 different schools. He did great at the first one, failed at the next 2. I don't know that he's even necessarily thinking about, let me parlay something into another head coaching job. He might just be done with that phase of his career. So obviously Kevin Still's someone he respects, so I don't think he'd have an issue working under if that was like, if you hire a less, you definitely don't want to come in to a position where you're like, I'm more qualified than the guy doing the bigger job than me. He's not Kevin Steele. Charlie Strong will be fine working under him. So to me, it would be more so along the lines of like, do I want to live in Miami and work with Mario and Kevin Steele? But I still say it's unlikely. But we're willing to pay money. So if he really wants to be in Miami, we'd probably pay for it, and he might take a job that you'd be like, I can't believe we got Charlie Strong to be the linebackers coach. Like you could, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I'd say I'd be surprised, but.
Yeah, I would be surprised too.
I'd also have been surprised if we took Michigan's offensive coordinator, got App State's OC to quit to come be the quarterbacks coach, and we did both of those in the last week. So,
which brings me to my next topic of discussion here, which came as a little bit of a surprise because I was working and I wasn't paying attention. I guess that's why. But Miami, Cristobal strikes again, right? Bringing in one of his old compadres, but I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think it had to do with everything that Frank Ponce has done as the offensive coordinator over at Appalachian State, what he did at Louisville, what he's done at his other stops as well. Yes, they coached together at FIU, but I think that one of the up and coming brighter minds in the offensive game is Frank Ponce. I think that we've seen what he's done at Appalachian State. So the fact that Mario was able to go and get this guy, regardless of whether they were friends or not, regardless of the history that they had, for Frank Ponce to come and basically take a demotion to be the quarterback's coach, the passing game coordinator, and quite possibly the OC in waiting, right? It looks like that's what it is. I mean, that is to me, if not the biggest, one of the biggest, pickups one of the biggest, I guess, just hirings that Mario has done this whole entire process. And I think it's huge because he was in the running to be the offensive coordinator at one point at Auburn, right? Like he was rumored to be interviewing or be interested in that position. He was interested. They were talking about him being the offensive coordinator here. No, he took the quarterback and passing game coordinator position here. How do you feel about that, John?
I like it, and I think it's perfect for him because he's had a chance to really gain experience and cut his teeth in the group of five. And he's really, made a name for himself there. And now he's ready for that next step to the Power Five, to a potentially elite program in the next few years. And, I think it's perfect. I think it's time. I think it's time for him because I think he's 50, 51 years old now. He and Coach Cristobal have a close relationship. I think he was his OC at FIU.
He was the wide receivers coach there.
Wide receivers coach at FIU. Yeah. So, they have that relationship. And I think also he brings good balance to that offense, whereas Gattis brings the power. This dude brings the passing game, the over-the-top game, so he can hit you on both ends. So I like it. I think every hire to me pretty much has been a home run.
I think the fact that you bring in a guy like that to be the passing game coordinator, his route concepts are a little more intricate, apparently, according to what some of the guys that I've spoken to, and obviously Steve-O, who does a great job breaking down a lot of these coaches and a lot of these players. His route concept, the way that he game plans a passing attack, is elite at an elite level. So you couple that with what Josh Gattis does already, I think that is just going to be monstrous and what they're going to do on offense. It's just. Oh, by the way, 100. There's a little bit over 100 people in the chat right now. Only 30 likes. Let's keep hitting that like button. We appreciate it. I think what people need to realize is that if we want to compete with the likes of the Alabamas and the Georgias and Ohio States and Clemson and name your top 10 programs, this is the way that college football is going to have to be played down here in Miami as well. Okay. And I think that what we need to kind of realize is that this is the fans are going to have to realize that these guys are not going to stay around forever. And they shouldn't be surprised if Josh Gattis takes the job next year as a head coach somewhere, or if Joseph Addae. Woo! I went back in time there. No relation to Jahmile Addae, by the way, guys. Spelled completely different.
But I was about to say it's not even spelled the same way, man.
Yeah, Jahmile Addae gets a job as a defensive coordinator at another Power 5 school. I mean, look. That's what we're playing with now. That's how the Canes are playing now, right? They've got the big money. They've got the big sticks. They're going to wield them, and we're going to have to play big boy football now. And this is the way to do it. As long as the head honcho is still there and he's got a grasp on everything that's going on in the program, this is going to be scary to see, man. And like, people in the chat are mentioning, and Tap is mentioning, you got to stack talent year over year. And I think that look at everybody that's on this staff right now. Elite recruiters, anywhere you look. You can go to Stephen Field, elite recruiter, right? Elite tight end recruiter, but he can recruit anything if you ask him. DVD turning into an elite recruiter. Jahmile Addae, we saw what he did at Georgia. We've seen what he's done at West Virginia. Having the best secondary, I believe he had in the Big 12 as well, one of the best secondaries in all of the country a few years back. Look at what Josh Gattis has done. He just won the Broyles Award. He's recruited guys like he recruited Jahan Dotson. He recruited Sanders Still and all these other guys. So I mean, look, you can go down the list, and it's absolutely unbelievable. So I'm really excited about these guys. I'm excited of what Andrew Rogers brings. I mean, the guy that Fish didn't even know. I didn't even know him. I don't think anybody in this on this thing knew him.
After you just called our defensive backs coach Joseph Addae, you're coming at me for not knowing like a backroom staff guy. Come on,
listen, it's a slip. That could be, you can see that mistake being done, right?
Well, Flo does it every week. It's okay.
Well, yeah.
I mean, at least Jazz, at least you didn't call him Smith this time, so we're good.
You are the king of name mix-ups, Jazz. I wouldn't even be talking to Fish right now.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah. Rewatch some of the shows, then you'll know.
Have you seen Flo's show? That guy is the king of names, of name debauchery. All right, debauchery, whatever you want to say. Anyways, I love Flo. Big shout out to Flo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's next with it. I mean, here we go. It's now
Well, we
it's
got
filling out the rest of the line. Who could you see? You know what? I asked John this question, right? As far as who do you think Diaz is feeling? Look at
I
Manny
think he
do it.
meant Mario, but I think he's really asking like, what do you think?
Dude,
What do you
that's
think?
not. That's worse than me. Okay, that's worse. Diaz and Manny. I mean, he screwed it up big time.
Actually, I'm pretty sure you've made that exact. We were all doing that when we hired him. We were calling Mario Manny.
I don't think
We
that's.
did that when we hired Mario.
I don't
We
think
all
that.
we all did it at least once.
We were
That's
very
actually
bad at that. Yeah.
yeah. We were not good at keeping our TOC straight. Let's go. A
Max
little throwback there.
Max says he's telling on you, John. I don't know what he's talking about, but he's gonna tell on you, apparently. Real quick, Vish, I asked John this question. I asked DJ also. Like, what position coaches do you see them kind of rounding out this staff with?
So I think definitely a linebackers coach. I think Steele is going to focus on defensive coordinator. I also I'm assuming that Gas is going to do wide receivers, but if I read the announcements to see if they mentioned, also coaching, and I didn't see it in there for Steele being linebackers or Gas being wide receivers coach. I'm assuming that at least Gas will be the wide receivers coach, but I think we'll get a linebackers coach. I don't know if we're going to dedicate a coach to special teams.
No, I can see Addae taking that position.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think it just depends on like. I mean, it's hard to say where we. Unfortunately, in college, like you mentioned earlier, you got you limit your coaches. So I think we have 3 left. So I would say one would be linebackers. The other 2, I'm not sure. We want to make DVD an on-field coach and have him like work under Addae. I think it's possible like take corners and have groom him a little bit. I know he was on field last year, but Diaz was. Let's not go through like how he built that staff, but that was probably a little bit too soon. So I would say probably mostly on the defensive side because I think offensively, assuming Gattis takes wide receivers, I think we're pretty much set there.
DJ, do you want to see a new linebacker coach?
Yeah, because linebacker has been the position that we've struggled at over the past couple seasons. Obviously, I understand that this is literally a whole new ball game with an entire new staff, but a linebackers coach I think would be good just to kind of reinforce the position and try to get the position back on track. Like I said, this is an entirely different ball game than even last year, so I don't think this will be too much of an issue moving forward. But getting in a linebackers coach would be ideal.
Yeah. Max mentions, yeah, he did. He is recruiting wide receivers. Obviously, I think he has a great relationship with 5-star wide receiver Jalen Brown. Another big prospect that has a relationship with Gaddis is Dante Moore, who's been down here, the quarterback, the 5-star quarterback out of Detroit. Been down here. Was actually down here a couple weeks ago. So those kind of guys, you're gonna see a lot more 5 stars next. And for all the guys that say stars don't matter, I don't subscribe to that notion because not even one bit. So don't come and tell me that it's about evaluation, player It is right. You watch the film, but let me know how many 4 and 5-star high end 4 and 5-star athletes, at every position, do Alabama and Clemson get and Georgia get, and then let me know who wins the national title or who's in the Final Four year in and year out. It's those guys. It is what it is.
It's not an exact thing that like if you get the number 1 player in the country is going to be the best player in the
It's
country.
not the probability, right?
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I was getting to. Yeah, probability. You basically have the highest rated players generally are better prospects. You get more of those, more of them will work out. It's an inexact science, but we tend to just, frankly, we're not going to have to do this anymore because we're now going to actually recruit better. But it was an excuse to explain why. Well, we took a bunch of 3 stars. Oh, well, it's not really that important. It is. As you said, go look at the top of the recruiting rankings, then look at the poll at the end of the season.
You still got to develop them. I get that, right? But, what are the chances of you developing a guy like Cyrus Moss or Nigel Lee Kelly or a guy that's a 3 or a 2-star athlete, defensive end? I mean, the probability is there that these guys are going to develop into, highly rated players and really good players. it's just a numbers game. It's a probability thing. So, real quick, another question from Fernie Tapia. Anything new on Ed Reed or Heis, or I'm assuming Alonzo Highsmith, obviously. Ed Reed or Highsmith. I don't think there's been too much out there about him. I don't even know if Ed Reed, what the hell he's doing. But
is he still here? Like
I don't know.
I mean,
a lot of talk has been about him possibly taking a position on the staff, or like a coaching position, and a lot of people have been talking about that. I don't know how realistic that is.
I don't think we're in cut your teeth mode on the staff. Like, we went in and got the best of the best, and I love Ed Reed. I think we all do. He's obviously.
I think he's more of a figurehead, and
But he's not been an on-field coach before. Like, just like everyone else, like, that's a different job than being awesome at football. He's the best safety in NFL history.
Right.
But like, teaching someone who's not as talented as you to do the same thing is not the same thing.
Right.
And he's not been a coach on the field before, so I don't know why we would start with him being an on-field coach for Miami. Like, we're trying to be a big program, right?
Exactly. I'm going to end this here with one question for all three of you, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But I want to start with DJ here on we're talking about it right now, right? 5-star athletes, big-time recruits. When's the last time we had a 5-star cornerback commit? Tracy Howard. I mean, it's been a long time, right? So if you had to put your finger on the amount of 5-stars that are going to commit to Miami this go around for the 2023 cycle, how many do you think?
Ooh, I'm gonna say 5.
5. Okay.
Because once this staff starts to build momentum and we've seen what they can do in just a short amount of time, I'm going to be really interested to see what they can do with the full year and especially, hopefully, after a winning 2022 season.
By the way, I took this question from Max's show yesterday. I thought it was a really good question. So,
Thank you,
Vish,
Max.
how many 5-stars do you think Miami gets this go around?
Do I say like $1? What are we playing prices right here? I'll go
5.1.
Well, he went 5. I'll go over his 5. How about that? I think we'll do better than that.
6. He'll go 6. All right.
I'll go 6.
Let's say a damn number. Jesus
okay.
Christ.
All right. 6.
All
I mean,
right.
you're stealing questions from Max here, who did correct me, and he's correct. I should point this out. When you make a mistake. So Ed Reed did coach as an assistant with the Bills for a year.
Get it together, Vish. John, how many 5-stars do you think Miami pulls off?
Right now, I'm going to say 4. I think
that's low, man.
Well, here's why. There's always those 1 or 2 guys that are like borderline that were 5, and all of a sudden they dip because they showed interest in Miami 11 months away from signing day.
Yeah,
it happened with Don Chaney. It happened with a few other guys recently.
Happened with Nigel Leak, right? Jaleel Skinner.
Nigel, how is Nigel Leak not a 5-star? Like I don't know. Wes, they have him like number 187 or whatever BS. Like, come on, that's a top 50, top 75 recruit if I ever saw one. But whatever.
Okay. I do wonder if some of that, let's just call it Miami penalty, starts to go away as our staff gets a now reputation of being like a big time staff.
And still got to win, I think.
Yeah, but I think when you have people that are respected throughout college football as your staff, and they're the ones going after a kid and landing him.
True.
It's much less likely that they downgrade.
When you see the name like Jahmile Addae next to or Josh Gattis next to who?
Yeah, exactly. I think that does kind of hopefully curb some of that. But yeah, what John talked about is certainly sometimes it's just like, I got an offer from them. There goes a star.
Yeah. I will say it is really intriguing to see because of some programs you'll see their rankings fluctuate as soon as they commit, and it's just kind of fascinating because I've seen it with a couple programs now, and I often wonder why that is exactly, but that's the recruiting rankings for you.
Yep. And yes, Max, you're right. His question was a little different. It's about how many in the top 100 were we going to get. You're right. So I tweaked it a little bit for our show. Okay. When it comes to 5-star athletes, for me, look, here's why I think it's going to be. I think it could be anywhere between 6 to 8. Addae he actually had 4 on his own this year. He had 4 on his own this year. 4 5-star guys at Georgia on his own. So let's throw in that he'll get 3 this year here, right? We all know Kevin Steele can recruit the heck out of defensive players, right? So you talk maybe another 1 there, right? So now you're at 4. You got Josh Gattis, who's recruited 5-star athletes everywhere he has gone. Okay, so give me another 2 there, 2 or 3, and then maybe you're gonna throw in a guy like a DVD who might kind of put his claws in a kid like Cormani McLean, right? I mean, that's obviously number 1 corner in the country right now for the 2023 class. I can see anywhere between 6 to 8 guys, and that would be obviously huge. Now, again, doesn't mean that we're going to be number 1 team in the country and we're going to beat the crap and the living daylights out of everybody. No, but it puts us in a position where if we continue to do that and stockpile those type of recruiting classes over the span of 2 or 3 years, there's no reason that we can't develop those guys based off of the coaching staff that we have already and be contending for for that final 4 spot or final 6, however many they're going to expand to. So I think it's going to be exciting to see what this coaching staff does and how they recruit, and most importantly, how they develop these players to be successful, and so we can kind of get to the point where we need to be. So
you seriously told me I had to pick a number, and then you said 6 to 8.
Yeah, at least I gave you a number.
You gave numbers. I said over 5. That's also a range.
7. No, I'm gonna go with 6. Also, like Vish. I'm gonna go with 6.
I did that under protest. Actually, there's some good stuff going on in the chat here, just on how some of the stars are manipulated. Pretty interesting that how like kind of.
Wow.
To John's point, when you're on that 4 or 5 line, how it can something.
I believe that 100%. I believe John's comment 100%.
That's
I really
crazy,
do.
Man. I think that's ridiculous. But anyways, that's
another show.
Yeah, we got the whole off season to kind of dig into that and dig into the playoff chances for this team that Jazz decided to go down into. So.
Yes, only 32 5-stars. Who's to say we can't get 6 of them? I don't give a crap what anybody says. We're getting them.
We're getting
whatever coach we want.
Yeah, so. we can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. We're not shopping in the used bin anymore. We're going and doing our own thing. The other thing is, Miami is different, right? And so if you actually put a product out on the field with great coaches that are developing kids that offenses and defensive kids want to play in, like, you're living in Miami. A lot of these kids don't want to go live in a college town, right? I mean, it's a completely different experience. Now, the ones that do generally are turned off by us, but there's a lot of kids that, man, I'd love to be in Miami, but that team sucks. I'm going to go to Alabama so I can play in the playoffs and get drafted in the first round.
Exactly.
So, like, we do have an advantage here based on location. Not only is the talent there locally, but it's a destination. People want to go live there.
Absolutely.
And you got John Ruiz throwing around NIL deals. Like, stuff's happening.
And the stadium. That's another. That's another show.
That's another show.
Yeah, that's another show. John, let them know where they can find you, big dog.
Yes. Go. First of all, follow me on Twitter. There's my handle right there on the screen. And go follow me at Cafecito and Canes on YouTube. You can find me. I'm usually on Tuesday nights. This week I will be on Thursday, and I will be having the host of this show, Jazz, on my show tomorrow. So, but normally I'm on Tuesday nights, 7:30, and from time to time I'll do something I'll live stream on the weekend if something like a hire or something happens like that. So, yeah, go give me a subscribe.
Did you mention you're the Flo? You host the Flo?
And,
too? Yeah.
Yes, and I'm on the Miami Flo team. I am the co-host of the Sunday Night Show
with Mr. Flo himself.
Yes.
Yep. DJ, I think they know already, but let them know because you're writing some great content recently, man. Also on the site.
Thank you. You can find me at DGillette95 right there on the screen. I mostly do recruiting articles because I love watching film and looking at what these high school kids can do, and follow along because I think it's going to be one heck of a year. I really do.
Absolutely. And Vish, when are you going to write an article that everybody's going to freak out about again? Well, make it a good one, a positive one.
I mean, I was going to write about the basketball team. They started losing.
Oh, so, God.
Got the win today, though.
Just give them the Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah, already. I mean, I've got to come up with the new shtick. My ranty articles, everyone's like, yes, because they're all angry with me, and I get the mob going. Like, we're good now. Like, I don't know. I gotta come with some new material.
You do. We all appreciate you, John, coming on the show. Thank you, DJ. Thank you, Vish. We appreciate it, and thank you to everybody that came on and subscribed. Thumbs up, 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel and on the YouTube Network channel as well. Thank you to everybody once again. We appreciate the donos. Make sure you check us out every Wednesday at 8:30 here on the Five Reasons Sports YouTube channel. And follow us at Six Rings Canes for everything, whether it's Danny writing something, Vish writing something, I'm retweeting stuff, all that crazy stuff. So and keep it locked here for tomorrow. Keep it actually on Twitter, as I will be covering the press conference with Josh Gattis and Kevin Steele as well. So that's going to be interesting. You'll see all the live tweets from what they're talking about as well. So that'll be cool. But aside from that, again, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Go Canes.